Welcome to the show Get Closer to the Truth. My name is Amit Kainth and I'm the author of the book The Gift, The 7 Laws of Success. And I'm on a journey, call it a quest, into finding people from all over the continent to bring them here into these studios and to your television screens at home on reasons why we're here on this physical plane called Earth. Now I've got a very special guest with me today and he wants to change the world. He's had a spiritual awakening and he is the author of the book In the Stillness. Let's please welcome Jack Stewart. How are we doing?
Very well, thanks, Amit. You?
Good, thank you. Yes, thank you for coming onto the show, Jack.
Pleasure.
Tell me, when did your spiritual awakening happen? And how?
I must have had about 100. Oh, it's all been small stuff. I remember feeling, I've been watching The Matrix lately, and you know the expression, the splinter in the mind. I felt that since I was first conscious, I think. And it formed, when I was a kid, I was rebellious. I got the school record for the cane at primary school. So I found an outlet in being a bit of a pain. And never really knew what I wanted to do, but always had a thirst for knowledge. And I think the thing that really surprised me, when I went to university one day, and it wasn't easy for me to admit this, I had a few drinks one night, locked myself in a room, and just wrote, "I'm so full of love" in felt pen all over the wash basin. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But it was an external manifestation of a love for humanity I probably always had. But the rest of my life has been a series of events that it's all been, I think I've had the opportunity to awaken so damned often. I've resisted it. It's only in the last few years, I think, when my wife, Diana, came to my wife, that I can honestly say that was perhaps the final piece in the jigsaw. There's other things as well. I used to work in organisations. I worked in Manchester Housing Department. And I was Mr. Ego, Machiavelli, you name it, I did it. Green glasses, the whole thing. And then the whole thing just fell apart. But Anne predicted that. And the thing
Anne is your wife?
She passed last year. I realised then the death of my ego, but I've still got a bit. You've got to have a bit of ego to do this work. Keep it under wraps.
Yeah. So you're the author of this book.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just show the camera?
Yes, certainly.
So this is Diana in the stillness. Everything happens.
Yeah.
Tell me, so when did you write this book and why?
Well, when your wife wakes up in the early hours one morning and says 2 weeks after the event, "Oh, by the way, Diana came to me in a dream and she wants to work with me," it's a bit of a surprise considering I've been a lifelong Republican. And although it didn't faze me as much as it fazed her. So what happened subsequent to that? That was 4 years ago. June 2011. A series of channelings ensued and I would record them. And from that they were then written up into that book. So 90% of what's in that book is actually from Diana in spirit. I've just added a few bits and pieces to it. Because Diana, would you believe it, and this may surprise a few people, is actually a fan of David Icke. There's something to think about, isn't it?
Wow. So 4 years ago, Diana, in spirit, comes to your wife.
Yeah.
And is it when she's kind of like in a meditation state, or was it kind of through like channeling the spirit, or how did
she actually saw her at the bottom of the bed? This was the early hours of the morning. She saw Diana dressed in blue at the bottom of the bed.
Wow.
I've never had anything like that, by the way.
And did she ever, obviously, be connected to Diana when she was alive, or did she see Diana or anything?
About 6 months previous to that, she went on a spiritual, a mediumship weekend, and a woman passed her a piece of paper, and it's subsequently become known as the Diana Prayer, which was really the beginning of the communication. But again, if you read the book, you'll find that Diana and Anne were together many, many times. They were together in 2,000 years ago in all kinds of places. There were Essenes. I don't know if you've heard of the Essenes.
No.
Yeah. Jesus was an Essene, John the Baptist, his parents. They were a group of spiritual people who were based in the Middle East, who really were a model for, to me, the future of the planet.
Wow. Okay, so basically, was your wife spiritual in any shape or form before she was connected? So she was always kind of spiritual, in tune with,
big time.
the soul and obviously, and life beyond this.
Yeah, very much.
And then she kind of channeled in with the Diana spirit, and then obviously, then this channeling you've put into this book, basically. Wow. Okay. So tell me some of the stuff that what was Diana saying? What was going on? Why was she connecting?
Because she wanted to heal the world. We live in a state of permanent war. I mean, does anybody really seriously tell us that this is the future of humanity? We're going to kill each other, going to bomb each other. So love is the solution. And Anne's always believed that. Anne had an awakening in 81 when her mother died tragically. That shook her up, and it took me about 20 years to come to terms with Anne's work. She's been a healer for 30 years. I've been dragged kicking and screaming to all this. I was a university lecturer. I wanted to change the world through politics, through organisations, through forcing stuff on people. And it doesn't work, of course, as well you know. So the whole thesis of Diana is love and healing. But it's also about waking up as well. That's why she's a fan of Ike. I can never get the exact quote. It's not about loving each other to change the world. It's loving everything to change the world. Unconditional love is what's going to change the world.
And I totally agree with you. Because obviously, I've obviously had my spiritual awakening, and before before I had my spiritual awakening, I always wanted power and money. But I realised that you don't need power and money to change the world. All you need is love.
Exactly.
And in the day, how many times do we have, a conversation with somebody? And you go in with a conversation all negative, and all what's going to happen is they're going to be negative back to you, and nothing proceeds forward. But if you can go in there with love and compassion, then you can start to understand where they're coming from, and you'll be able to come to a solution to move forward. Because negativity on negativity, you're not going to move anywhere forward. And so I totally agree with you, Jack, and I love what you are doing. So now this is obviously this is the truth, and that's what we need to do. What are you doing now on your journey? How are you changing the world?
Well, I was with Anne for 36 years. She became, I think when Diana came to her in 2011, it was the beginning of the end of the work on the material plane. There's so much that's happened that I could go with hindsight that I wasn't aware of at the time. But she had, in October in 2014, she came in the room once when we were at home, and she couldn't speak. She couldn't speak. But I knew she was okay beneath this external facade. She's had a mini stroke. And she recovered from that a couple of months later, and then she went on a downer. She was discovered that she had a brain tumour in March 2015. And it's a long story, but it was a long progression downwards. She picked up at first. She went to Althorpe, where Diana's shrine exists. So when she was discharged from hospital, having had the brain tumour removed, her healing trajectory was beyond, medical science couldn't get their heads around it. They couldn't believe what had happened to her. And then when she went back to Althorpe, 2 days later, she started to go down. And then she picked up, she went down, then she picked up, and she went down for the last time, and she passed on August the 22nd. So that took some getting over for me. So I've really been processing that since then, and my task is going to be, because Anne channeled Diana, Anne is now working with Diana in spirit, so my task is to channel Anne, who will be working with Diana sometime this year. So I'll become the vehicle for the wisdom from spirit.
So you can actually channel the spirit too?
Not at the moment, but I will do.
And how are you going to do that?
In the same way that Anne did. I'll just learn. I'm going on a course with a good friend of yours, Jonathan Brown.
Yes, who previously came on the show, Jonathan Brown. He's
exactly.
An absolutely amazing spiritual connection. Because I've seen him personally. He's absolutely amazing. He's so spot on. I do recommend that you see him. He's really, really good.
Well, Jonathan has actually brought Anne through in a physical way. I talked to Anne through Jonathan, as if I'm talking to you, and that happened 5 days after she passed.
Wow.
So that was a bit of a shock.
So now, obviously, Jonathan's now training you, if you like, to channel the energy and talk to the spirits.
Exactly.
Okay. So do you believe in angels?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, me and you have had a spiritual awakening. We can understand this, because we understand it. But for our viewers at home who haven't had a spiritual awakening, what's your advice to them?
Well, what constitutes a spiritual awakening? I think I'm a good example of someone who's not seen Diana at the foot of a bed dressed in blue. You can have a spiritual awakening just seeing people in the street. There's so many things that inspire me, just everyday life. You can switch on the TV and see examples of random acts of kindness, of people who are loving each other, who are just making a difference in the world. I mean, you won't get it from the mainstream, but you know for yourself, if you search the internet and the sort of stuff that you're doing, you'll find numbers of examples of where people are changing the world through. We've got to build a new world. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be sort of go from one situation now, from as it is bombing people, to loving each other. But there's so much going on in the world that inspires everybody. So to have a spiritual awakening, is just to, well, connect to your heart. I mean, a couple of your guests have already said that. The best thing I can recommend is find the source of unconditional love within you. We've all got it. Anna and I used to run courses around the thing called the Healing Code. We've trained thousands of people. And what it is tapping into that part of you that connects unconditionally to someone else, or to a force in nature, or to an avatar, or to a pet, or to anything for that matter. I mean, have you got a source of unconditional love in your life?
Everyone has, yeah, I do, yes. Yeah.
How do you tap into that?
Well, I basically go within and I meditate, and when I meditate, and I can then block out the world of the 5 forces of the greed, lust, attachment, anger, and pride.
Yeah.
Once I've deactivated the whole world, I then can go within and I can then find what I need to actually do and find that, if you like, that love and peace within, and then try to project that, if you like, out there to the others around me.
We all have this, and it might take a bit of searching, but less though than most people would think. If we could all tap into that within us, the world would be changed.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to help to do.
Great. Well, we're going to take a short break. Don't go too far, because when we come back, we're going to take some questions that come from the audience and the viewers at home. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to Get Closer to the Truth. Now, just before the break, we were speaking to Jack, and he was talking to us about his connection with Diana and what he wants to do to change the world. Welcome back.
Thanks, Amit.
So we have some questions that have come from our viewers at home and the audience. And the first one we have got is, should we heal ourselves before we attempt to heal others?
When are we fully healed? Am I fully healed? Are you fully healed? I don't want to give a simplistic answer to it, but it's a combination, isn't it? I'm a healer, been a healer for a long time. So if I said I have to be healed before I heal others, we'd all be in I'd be in a bit of a state. So no is the simple answer. No, we need to heal others. We do heal others. We heal each other through our very being. If I get into a state of unconditional love, if I get into a state where I want to heal other people, I feel compassion and empathy for everybody else, then I'm starting to heal. That process is healing, is it not? So we can heal others without necessarily doing it consciously. It's getting into that state of love.
Yeah, definitely. Our next question: does forgiveness play a big part in healing?
Probably the biggest part. I think if you read any spiritual textbook, most of them with worthy of the name would say you have to forgive, but it's not easy for some people, is it? I remember years ago when I was doing psychotherapy, and I still do it, but I had one client who came to me, and she had been abducted. She'd been locked in the boot of a car. She'd been sexually assaulted. And the person who'd done all this, who's never been found, by the way, he lifted the boot of the car and he was going to pour petrol over and set fire to her. So when she came to me, I thought, okay. I thought, put a marker down. You need to heal this person. And 2 sessions later, she did. So if she can forgive that person, I think most of us can. She was an inspiration for me.
Wow. So what did you do in order for basically her to, forgive that person, really?
It was ruining her life. Her life was so screwed up. It was occupying her thoughts all the time. And it's like giving someone accommodation rent-free in your head. So by her forgiving, or at least thinking about it, I just said, just think about it. Don't do it yet, but just think about forgiving this person. Because you don't need this. You need to let go of it. And I think it's that aspect. She's never going to forget it, is she?
No.
And it's not condoning the action.
Yeah.
But forgiveness, to me, is letting go yourself. It's a personal thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I think we can all forgive.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think the world would be a better place if we all could forgive. But I think people get so, if you like, that's great because obviously she forgave herself in the heart. But what happens in a situation where, you've upset somebody, you need to go and forgive them? A lot of people kind of don't do that. And,
no.
What's your advice there?
Well, we're conditioned by the media, aren't we? It's revenge. We must revenge. If someone strikes us, we've got to strike back. We need to step outside that. We need to keep reflecting on what kind of world we want to create while we're all fighting each other for the rest of time. The advice is to let go, to consider how much time you're investing in thinking about these things. I mean, I've been betrayed probably like a load of people all my life. I used to work with survivors of sex abuse as well. Do you think they would want to forgive? I've been confronted most of my life with people who have difficulty in forgiving and let go. You have to let go. What are the alternatives? What's the alternative to resentment? Resentment kills you. I remember one client came to me. The first words out of his mouth, "When I die, my stepdaughter isn't coming to my funeral." I thought, hang on a minute. Whoa.
That's
and
powerful.
it was, and he was killing him. He was got cancer of the lymph glands. And I tried to work with him to get him to forgive, but he wouldn't let go of it. And that was a very powerful lesson to me. It can kill you.
Of course, yeah.
So I often say, well, do you want to allow this to kill you? Do you want to allow this to pollute the rest of your life? Do you want to live the rest of your life thinking about this stuff? The answer is most people don't. And you can prove it through anecdotes, through all kinds of things, that forgiveness is the greatest healer of all.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And so many people say that. Obviously, you know, that's a common thing that they've upset somebody, and and they say, "Oh, I don't want her or I don't want him at my funeral." You know, and it's a powerful statement.
Absolutely.
And it's a powerful statement, and obviously, you know, if you're hanging around with all that, if you like, negative energy, that will affect anyone really to move, if you like, to their, you know, to their soul destination, if you like.
Absolutely.
Now, Jack, do you believe in reincarnation?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me more about what your beliefs are on reincarnation.
Well, when I first got into psychotherapy 20 odd years ago, I did some work with a couple of young lads who were dyslexic and they were being bullied at school, and I helped them overcome that, and their lives were transformed. And their mother said one strange thing to me. She said, "Oh, by the way, we choose our parents." And I thought, do we? Because at the time I didn't believe any of that stuff. I spent most of my life as an atheist, by the way, Amit. And I thought, this is just outside my comfort zone. I thought, that started to make me think. And then, of course, spending most of the last 30 years with someone who believed, you know, is a spiritual healer, believes in reincarnation, she was quite a powerful influence on me. So I started to realise that certain things were happening in my life that couldn't be explained by rational means. And I think when you think about soul contracts and what we sign up for, your whole life starts to change. And because I wanted to change the world all my life and realise things materially aren't going to change it, you start to step into the world of spirit and you realise the only way the world's going to change is for us to embrace spirituality.
Definitely.
And so when you go into all that stuff, reincarnation, I mean, religion was forced on me as a kid. I thought, well, no, I can't be doing with all this stuff. That's why I became an atheist. And I don't want to rubbish all religion. I mean, Helen was talking about that before. There is an overlap. It really is about... What does spirituality mean anyway? There's one word that sums up spirituality. It's about connection, connectedness. We are all connected. So when you start getting into this, and I've got a voracious appetite for reading, a voracious appetite for learning, and the more you get into this, the more you realise it becomes irrefutable. It gets to a point where you just become... Well, you can't deny it any further.
And it's come to the point where you just realise that actually that this is the truth.
It just is. It just is, and it gets to the point where you don't need to force it down to people's throats. You don't need to force your opinions on people.
Do you believe that if someone is going to have a spiritual awakening, it's actually marked in the specific time of their life, or do you think it's free choice that someone can become spiritual?
I think big stuff is. When Diana came to Anne, that was certainly down on her soul's contract. That was a marker. I think when I discovered I was adopted at the age, my best friend told me at the age of 21, that was a marker. Meeting Anne was a marker. Meeting my current partner was a marker. There's all kinds of things. I think the big events are markers. Between that, one way I've heard it describe this thing about free will is we're like a dog on a lead. We're on the lead, but we can wander around. We've got freedom to wander around on the lead. So I think spirit is influencing every single aspect of our lives, but we've got free choice within that. But we can't change certain things. But we can override quite a lot of stuff.
So give me an example what kind of free choice that one would have.
Well, when I worked at Manchester Housing Department, as I say, there's 1,000 people there. My goal was to try and unite the department because it was a series of factions fighting each other and everybody was suffering as a consequence. And Anne once said to me, you've got two choices here. You can go down the path that you're doing of ego and all this kind of stuff that you're doing, or you can take it easy, you can back off, you can adopt a different path. Both choices have consequences. One is an easy path and you'll continue and it'll blossom and things will change slowly. But I don't know whether you picked up, I feel a fire within me. I felt this fire within me all my life. And I thought, no, I'm not having that. slow path, not for me, it's for wimps. Let's go for it. And the whole bloody thing blew up. And that's the way it's going to be. So that was a classic example of free choice. And I'll give you loads of examples. And I think it was Dawn was saying before, if we choose one particular path, we go here and we may end up here. I think that Jonathan Brown introduced me to this thing about reason, season, lifetime. If we think about all our relationships in this life, some people come in for a reason, and that's a relatively short duration. Some people come in for a season, which could be for years. And there's probably a couple of people in my life, 2 or 3, maybe more, who were here for a lifetime. And I think that's an example of free will and destiny. Because the people who come in for a lifetime, you can kick and scream, but they're with you for a lifetime. And I believe that is part of our soul's contract. But we can get rid of the reason and season people, even though they're our best teachers.
Powerful stuff. Listen, Jack, I can speak to you all day, and that's all we've got time for today. So can you tell our audience and the viewers at home how they get hold of you?
healingthespirit.eu is the website. Because I'm reinventing myself, things are changing on there. Just keep going on there. You'll find interesting stuff. Other than that, I'm going to become a nuisance. I'm going to put myself about. I think people are going to hear about what I've got to do this year, big time.
Great. Well, we'd love to hear more. We'd love to hear more. Thank you guys for coming out today. Thank you for home and tuning in. For more information, do log on to www.amitkainth.co.uk, and we will see you next week for more and Get Closer to the Truth.
Cheers.
To find out more about Amit Kainth, please take a look at his new book called The Gift, 7 Laws of Success, out now in all major bookstores. This show is sponsored by Great Kingdom Palace, giving life a meaning.